The more you have in you, the more discerning you have to be. Now, I told you guys that the first thing that a bright star is going to face in life when their talents and gifts are discovered is the spirit of control. Now, control is a spirit of Jezebel, people who like to control. And the Leviathan spirit comes right behind when people lash out when you don't agree to their control. So many people are in certain bondages because they don't want to get certain people upset. So they're like, okay, I don't want this person to lash out, so let me just allow them to control my steps so I can just keep everybody happy. Allegedly, it was said that somebody, I forgot who it was, went online and they were saying, you guys are saying free Britney, you guys should be saying free Beyonce because she's being controlled or something like that. Well, nonetheless, let's not even focus on that statement. Let's focus on the TikTok video that I shared from her tour. Now, what I love is how Beyonce likes to put, kind of messages in everything that she does, symbols, messages. She just, because she's not very into the whole exposing herself to people, which is part of the reason why a lot of people don't like her because they can't access her on a personal level. She'll just put little things in her art to show you what may be going on. Now, that clip may mean something, that clip may mean nothing, but I will tell you this. It's giving, I'm being controlled, okay? She's saying, I'm Beyonce knows, I don't like it, get me out, I don't like it. Probably meaning that she's probably trapped in a genre, maybe trapped in a deal, maybe trapped in just, having to do certain things that she may not really want to do, or, maybe she wants to take a break. We don't know. She's a very private person. We don't know. But we can't say that in Hollywood these things don't exist, with people having to do things that they don't feel like doing, or being overworked, or their talent being abused. Bright stars have to always have awareness that you have to have full autonomy over your gift. Gifts are to be shared, yes, but people are not allowed to use your gifts and control them. And the reason why I say this is because there was an industry that I worked on. And I'm very when I work, you really only have to tell me something one time. I'm a pretty quick learner. And when I work, I just put my all into it. I'm very passionate. I put my all into what I do. And I was in this particular industry where the people there were essentially using me because I was able to do the jobs of 3 people, right? And I was very young. So it's okay, she can do the jobs of 3 people. She's very smart. She's very passionate. She's very detailed. Let's use her. But it wasn't in the way that I thought, meaning I did start to feel trapped. They did keep giving me more and more work, but not the exposure that I wanted. They would have me do all of the documentation for the meeting, but when the meeting came, I was not invited to the meeting, right? It's almost like they wanted to use my gift for themselves, but they didn't want me to shake hands with certain people that could possibly give me opportunities that could get me taken away from them. So essentially, it was control. And then once I quit that industry, or I quit working for people in that industry, I decided to start working for myself. And that brought a whole other set of attacks where the same people would make calls and try to boycott my marketing materials, and people would make calls and try to get my, my stuff taken down. It's, and this is outside of online, right? So I know this whole control thing and how it works, and how when people feel like you have some type of talent, they feel very entitled to using that talent that you may have for their own personal gain. Now, I believe in reciprocity. Sure, you like somebody's talent, you feel like they're talented, cool. But you have to allow that person to pick and choose what they desire to do. You don't get to control everything that they do. And the biggest challenge is getting controlled, having people control your talent for their own personal gain. That is where it becomes a problem. And that is going to be the challenge that the bright star is going to face is, are you going to yield? and surrender to the control and allow people to control your every move, your catalogs, what you do? Or are you going to risk walking away? And sometimes walking away can allegedly end with you getting unalived. That's what happened to Aaliyah. She wanted to walk away. She wanted to do her own thing. They felt like she was taking up too much space. So allegedly they made her, they put something in her drink allegedly, and she got on the plane unconscious, and that was that. It was all planned. So the bright star has to remember that your gift is to be shared, yes, but it's not to be controlled by others. Your gift is from God. Your gift that God has given you is from God, and you can allow God to control it, but you do not allow people to control it. And the number one way sometimes that people will try to control your gift is through their opinion. I love the fact that Beyonce pushed back and still did her Cowboy Carter tour, regardless of all the negative press, because they were trying to control her by snubbing her at the CMA, saying, why is she doing, she's not a country singer, all this crap. And she's like, I don't care. I'm still going to go on tour. I'm still going to show up and show out. I'm still going to put my all into my craft. And I don't really care, how anybody feels about that. And at some point, you need to start ignoring people's opinions. Especially as a woman who has bright stars and talents, people are going to try to use their opinions as a way to get you to stop. For example, the backlash that I got from, let's take it a step further. When you're a bright star, or you have some type of talent, or you're gifted in a particular area, the first way that people are going to try to control you is going to be through their opinions. Okay? People are going to say, I'm going to comment something bad and see if that's going to make her feel some type of way. Or have her change the way she does things. I always tell people, nobody in life becomes successful caring about people's opinions. Nobody. Because people's opinions are their own personal projections. They're not important. And many women are stuck in the same place because they know that women are going to bully them out of where they really want to go or try and stop them in some way. I don't allow women to stop me from getting where I want to go. I don't allow men to stop me from getting where I want to go. The only person that can stop me is God on his throne. And if he does stop me, it's with right reason. I don't allow people to stop what I do. I don't allow people's comments to change the direction of what I do. I do as I please when it comes to my talent. And I'm telling you guys the same thing. It doesn't matter if your family is full of doctors. If it's your desire to become a judge and go to law school, become a lawyer, become a judge, do it. Because the number one way that people, cause bright stars to deteriorate essentially is by controlling their gift and using it for them. If you guys remember, there was a time where Michael Jackson, I wish I could find the clip. Michael said, remember, the year that he passed, that was supposed to be the last tour, right? And then he was going to be done. He was going to retire. And he said, you know what? I'm going to just give this tour all that I got. It's going to be my last tour. And then when I'm done with Mr. T. And he mentioned the guy that was in charge of his record label or catalog or something like that. They were controlling him, and he had to give them one more tour so they can get all their money. And a lot of people like to use bright stars because bright stars are going to bring in money. They're going to bring in wealth because they're talented. So people want to use that for their own personal gain while the bright star is left drained. A good example of this is what happened to Bonnie in Vampire Diaries. Bonnie was very powerful. But anytime somebody had a problem, they ran to Bonnie, and Bonnie ended up losing almost all her family members, sacrificing her powers for the mess that her friends were getting into. Anytime there was a problem, call Bonnie. And Bonnie ended up losing the most because her power and her gifts were being used by the people around her, and she wasn't wielding it and telling people, no, I cannot do that. No, I cannot do this. And as a result of that, she was left drained. And I think essentially on the show, she actually passed away and was stuck on the other side because she used her gift because somebody wanted to control it for their own gain or whatever issue they put themselves in. And then now Bonnie put herself on the platter, and now she was stuck on the other side for about 3 years, and nobody knew that Bonnie passed and was stuck on the other side because of a ritual that she did that I guess caused too much power. It took too much power out of her, so she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the forest. So the power that you have within you, it needs to be wielded and stewarded by you so that you don't end up trapped by people. I talked about this in the Britney video, how her dad was saying, I'm Britney, and he took full control of her entire life. The first thing bright stars are going to encounter is that spirit of Jezebel and Leviathan that gets activated when people encounter people with many gifts, whether it's physical gifts or spiritual gifts. We'll talk about this in the Jezebel and Leviathan masterclass on June 22nd. We are going to be talking about how if you're a bright star, you're a person with a lot of talent, all that stuff, you're going to start to encounter certain people that are extremely controlling. And you have to be able to identify when somebody has a Leviathan, Jezebel spirit. And then I personally think, and I'll talk about more of this in the class, the entities of Jezebel and Leviathan. Jezebel and Leviathan are like brother and sister. Most people who are possessed by Jezebel are also possessed by Leviathan. So Jezebel is there to what? Control and manipulate. Leviathan is there to twist up your words. Well, I call Leviathan the gaslighting spirit. So when you're dealing with a person possessed by Leviathan, they're going to twist up everything that you say and translate it into something negative and use that to create an argument with you. So when somebody is possessed by Leviathan, that person always wants to argue. Any little thing that you tell them, they're gonna transform it into an opportunity to argue, yell, scream, and curse at you. Once I know somebody's possessed by Leviathan, I don't deal with that person anymore, because that person, it's almost like they are programmed to argue. You ever meet those people where you say, oh, wow, I like your shoes. And they say, oh, okay, yeah, but what are you saying? Do you mean that you didn't like my other shoes? Do you mean that you didn't like, do you mean that? And they just keep going. That person is possessed. That's a demon. You have to stay away from people like that. And we'll talk about that in the class, how to identify the entities of Leviathan, how to identify the entity of Jezebel. I will teach you guys how to see those entities. If you are a bright star, if you are somebody with a lot of power, with a lot of passion, drive, ambition, you will tend to attract people that have these entities, because those dark entities are attracted to anything that's good, right? Talent, hard workers, people who are driven, people who are spiritually gifted. Those entities are attracted to people like that. And sometimes it's a controlling mother, it's a controlling father, it's a controlling friend. It is an entity. So anyways, back to Beyonce. I definitely feel like this is a good lesson for you guys that are learning. Always remember, your gift is to be shared, but it's not to be controlled. So the minute you realize that somebody is trying to control your gift and tell you what to do with it and how to use it, it's okay if you have a mentor that's like, wow, I feel like you're really good at that. I think you should write a blueprint. There's a difference between somebody that is pushing you to do better and pushing you forward so you can win, and somebody that is pushing you ahead with their ulterior motives in mind. Okay? You have to be aware of that.